All right, welcome. Here we have the sound demonstration for an Electro Harmonix Big Muff Pi fuzz pedal, world famous fuzz pedal that we probably all know and love. We've probably heard it a million times. This is something I've been wanting to build for a long, long time, and I built it. It sounds great, you know the deal. But yeah, let's see how it sounds. This is quite a big build as things go. The strip board goes from about there to there inside, so and nearly the whole width. So it's quite big and it just barely fit into this enclosure. Obviously not a first project for anybody, but a really fun project. If you want to build it, there will be a link in the description of this video with the strip board layout, as well as the schematic for this DIY pedal project, so you can build it at home. This is also one of the first pedals that I've done with actual artwork on it. Anybody who's seen my pedal demonstrations before know that I like just the good old masking tape label. My wife was kind enough to make some artwork, and then I played around with water slide decals for the first time. And I think it turned out great. Look at it. It's awesome. It's something I'm going to continue to do, make my pedals look a little bit better. But so what we've got here is we've got the volume, we've got a tone knob, and then that's sustain. So sustain, yeah, it really is the amount of fuzz, but what you'll see in the demonstration is it really kind of, well, takes away that sustain as you go counterclockwise. So what we'll do is this will be quite a kind of long-ish demonstration because I want to take us through with a neutral tone, and then I'll take you through all the way up through the amount of sustain or fuzz there is, and then we'll play around with the tone as well. What's interesting about this tone knob is it's not just going from bass all the way up to treble. It's actually got a mid scoop in the middle. So over here you're going to get really bassy, because what it's doing is it's a low pass filter that's completely going when you're counterclockwise, and when you're clockwise you've got a high pass filter that's completely going and it's taking off all of those low tones. What you often have in other tone knobs is just a high or low pass filter, and the tone knob is just going to say how much that high or low pass filter is going. When you're in the middle here, you've actually got a mid scoop, so it's taking half the high pass and half the low pass, and what that's doing is it's taking out the mids, which is fairly unique to the Big Muff Pi, or the Big Muff in general. So I've got my loop pedal over here. I'm just going to play you the same loop, and we'll go through the sustain, and then I'll set the sustain at about midway, and then we'll go through the tone so you can hear how this thing sounds if you want to decide how to build it. Let's go. Yeah, there we go. You can hear this. There's quite a lot of sound coming through that, quite a lot of gain. My amp wasn't terribly happy about some of it. It's funny, sometimes when I test these things out on my smaller amp, it's quieter, and this is an old Fender amp that tends to be a little bit grumpy sometimes when you're throwing too much through it. But you don't hear any of that interference when you're actually playing it. Something like this, either it might be the build, it might be my build, it might be a bad capacitor somewhere, but you can hear some of that noise, and maybe it's something that you put up with a noise gate or something like that. But I don't really hear it when I'm actually playing it, so I'm not worried about it. Why don't we test this out with some chords, see how it sounds. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. What should have been about 30 seconds of recording some guitar onto my loop pedal turned into a fiasco because things fell over, and then I suddenly forgot how to play the guitar or use a loop pedal. So I had a bit of trouble there. And what I was going to play, which was more White Stripes, I suddenly just forgot how to play it. So I just strummed a little bit of basic open chords. I think it's some Nirvana song. But you'll get the drift on how this thing sounds. Let's do the same again. Yeah, so there we go. I think with the chords, there's some really awesome stuff. Those were big chords as well, open chords. So you can imagine how it sounds just with power chords, something smaller. I love this thing. There's a lot you can do with it. You saw as I was cranking through different settings, there's some very subtle little things that happen depending on the combination of the tone and the sustain. This demo's probably hardly scratched the surface of every little way you can do it. It's great. It sounds awesome. Not the easiest build in the world, but at the same time, not really, really difficult either. It's just one of those builds that it's quite big. It's really big, so it's something to take your time on. What I was also surprised about is the parts are actually pretty easy to find. I didn't have to go on eBay or anything like that. It was really just, I think I got them all on Tata out of Thailand. So, it's not something you have to go hunting for weird transistors or op amps or anything like that. This thing has 4 transistors in it, a whole lot of resistors, a whole lot of caps, and a few diodes. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. So if you do want to tackle it, it's not harder than something smaller or anything like that. It's just that it's bigger. And so in a lot of ways, you're probably making, 3 or 4, call it 4 tone benders in one. But in a lot of ways, it's like 8 tone benders in one because you're doing it on one big board, and it's really easy to get lost. And that's the challenge, is you get lost and you can't find where you are, and you might put a component in the wrong spot and you don't know until until you plug the thing in. So if you do want to tackle this, probably get a few other pedals under your belt before doing that, or more than a few. And then when you do, really take your time. It's not something you're going to bang out in an hour. It's something that might take you, quite a few hours, and you might need to take a break so you don't make mistakes. But at the end of the day, you get a really great sounding pedal that's a lot of fun to play. Hope you enjoyed this. As I mentioned, there's a link in the description here for the instructions on how to make the Big Muff pie. You can make that yourself at home. Have fun. Tell me how you go.